So last night, it's 5 o'clock in the morning right now, but last night I just finished watching Spider-Man No Way Home Extended Edition, or the extra fun stuff as we call it. And we're going to talk about a little bit about this. I have a written review on this, so if you want to go back and go back and read the written review, that's fine too. There's other talks about other extended movies in there that some need it and some don't. So it's an interesting read if you want to read it. So starting off with this. The beginning of this movie, yes, everyone knows, like, oh, Spider-Man killed Mysterio, and Mysterio revealed his name is Peter Parker, and now he becomes public enemy number one by Jonah Jameson. Well, that all happens, but I think it's a little bit longer and a little bit extended a little bit, just a tad from the normal. From there, you get to normal beats of the movie, of course, how the events happen originally when you see it, and then there's a long, I didn't mention this in the written review, but if you go back to the written one, that's fine too. But I mentioned this written one. There's a longer extended scene where those Homeland Security people are investigating Peter and his friends, and they're going over like different things. Because I remember in the original movie they slapped those files down. Now it's it. So they go through an extensive scene on that where they were talking to Tom Holland Spider-Man about climbing up the Empire State Building, the Washington Monument, and different things that he did throughout the other two movies, obviously. So they added that in there. They interrogated Ned for a little bit more longer than they needed to. So when they go to school is still the same, but then when he walks into school, they have the morning announcements. They always have Betty. And Betty is their like their Barbara Walters, or their Barbara Walters, or Jenna Bush Hager, or Hoda Kotb, if you know who those people are. Basically investigating things and doing interviews. So she does an interview with all the staff and kids that know Peter Parker, and it's an interview it's an announcement, but also an interview that sends out. It's pretty funny. She talks to Flash like how she wasn't mentioned in the book that he wrote about. You would already know he wrote a book from the original movie, so she's not in the book mentioned. He's like, oh, I bet you are, blah blah blah. He opens the book and made a comedy right there. She talks to Ned, which is her ex-boyfriend. I said, oh, you look good. I know, I look good too, blah blah blah. And she asked Spider-Man, if you could ask your spider, thank you for biting me, or no thanks. And she said the no thanks. And then she talked to the nerdy teacher that is going through a divorce or whatever, or some relationship problem, but you get my point. They do extensive, the gym teacher, all these different things. They also do what I also forgot to mention in the written one is they force Peter Parker to climb the wall when he's in gym, so that's interesting. So I forgot to mention that in the written one, but in the written one I mentioned some stuff like the interview and the beginning and all that stuff. And then from there, you do see him stopping a robber like he normally does on the street corner. I mean, what he normally does in the streets, in the city, protecting the city, but it's also in the street corner. He stops a robber from robbing an old lady's purse, like a normal superhero does. Or in Spider-Man's case, a normal, regular Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you get my point. So that robber, he ends up taking the purse away and also giving it back to, well, eventually, they don't show that, but, eventually giving the purse back. Anyways, the robber he stopped was his actual brother. So there was rumors during this movie being filmed that Tom Holland's brother is going to be in it. So that's his actual brother, hanging from a store, swinging off of a web from a store that he wiped him off of. That's his actual brother, and his brother said, yeah. Before his brother said that there's other background actors, like one lady's like, should you be doing that? You're only like 14 years old. And like other people get involved. Well, teenagers can do what they want. Teenagers do weird things. They do crazy weird things. And there's decisions I'm making. And like Spider-Man couldn't get word edgewise, like, I'm not 14, or I'm da-da-da. So, and then one of the background people said, you don't know if they're they're in cahoots. And then like Tom Holland's brother's like playing the robber character. We've been in cahoots the whole time, so it was kind of funny. From there, it was hilarious actually. They thought he was 14 years old. And then some guy throws some green slimy paint on his suit, and that's how he gets green gunk on his suit. So in the original one, we just see him with a green spot on his mask in the suit, and he can't get off. Well, now we know how he gets that on there, because it wasn't originally in the original one. And then I think from there, that's pretty much it until the Spider-Mans come in. So Andrew and Toby and Andrew, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, when they come into the scene, obviously that's still the same, but I think the talk before the bad guys get there, it's a little bit extended by talking about Tobey Maguire's organic webbing. That's a little bit extended because they go a little bit more of a longer conversation in this one about that than the original. And then there's a new end credit scene. There's still the Venom one. So if you're still excited about the Venom one, there's still the Venom one. But Betty's Corner is all new one. So Betty's Corner for the extended deleted scene and credit scene is basically Betty was talking about. They do a PA about don't go on the slip floors when the janitor's mopping because you can slip and fall. Do a comedy thing for that. 2 times in the movie, obviously. The first previous review and then the last part of the movie. Then they go to Betty's Corner. Betty's Corner was talking about how they have a lot of fun and good memories with being a tiger and at that science school they go to and all stuff. Everyone created their own fun and enjoyment and memories. And while they were showing those, they showed Ned, they showed MJ, they showed Flash, they showed Betty, the first girl he liked, Peter Parker liked, but when they did the Far From Home picture with Peter Parker, they put a bird in front of his face. And then the other pictures and slideshows, Peter Parker wasn't mentioned because, again, that's when the spell hit and no one knows who Peter Parker is. So they played that off for comedy with the memories of high school. He wasn't there. And then she was like, go Tigers, go graduation. And that's the end credit scene, and that's pretty much the end of every extended scene in this. So, yeah, that's it. So that's been Spider-Man, the extra fun stuff.